Okay, I'm going to start. Welcome everyone. It might be a little slow today. We have some family issues to take on, so. Madam Clerk, any changes to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chairman.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda? Council Pearson, Council Partridge, all in favor?
Carried.
Carried, thank you. Are there any delegations of interest? Seeing none. And I have approval of the June 7th, 2016 meeting as presented. Moved by Councillor Johnson, Brenda Johnson, seconded by Councillor Partridge. All in favor?
Carried.
Thank you. Delegation requests. Any delegation requests? Okay. Consent items. We have nothing. Public hearing, staff. Discussion items. 8.1, Sentinel Parkway. Request to remove heavy trucks from traffic bylaw number 01-215. Any discussion? Respecting item 8.1.
So, sorry.
Okay, Council Partridge first, then Council Johnson.
Sure. Yeah, no, thank you. I'm just wondering if the ward councillor is okay with it?
Councillor Conley?
Yep.
Through the chair, I was trying to get in touch with him last week, but I believe he was on vacation, so
Okay.
I wasn't able to actually discuss it with him.
Okay, so there hasn't, just to clarify then, there's been no discussion with Councillor Conley?
Correct.
Okay. Through you, Chair, could I ask either Councillor Johnson or Pearson if they've spoken to you?
No, but I have questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Council Brenda Johnson.
Yeah, I can remember when the heavy truck organization came and spoke to the truck committee. It was Leon Sowers that came actually. And his concern was that Sentinel Parkway actually has a better slope. There's lack of bridges, except for one down at the bottom, and it's now being revamped to accommodate the heavy trucks. So this is the part, and because we don't have Councillor Conley's input or Councillor Collins, because Councillor Collins is on the other side of this, I would respectfully request that we put this to the side, either send it to GIC, because this is something that affects the whole city, as far as I know. And to give you some background, my mother got wiped out at the bottom of King Street there by a truck losing its air brakes, and so there's a conflict in my head right now of what needs to be done and what should be done. So I don't know if how urgent this is right now. So can I ask Dave or Jason or, sorry,
Joanne.
Joanne, thank
Yes.
you. And then
Inspector Reese.
Inspector Williams.
how are you?
Good.
Good, thank you. So is this an urgent matter? Because this is quite significant for the truck route.
Through the chair, we have actually had discussions with the Ontario Trucking Association.
Right.
Leon had actually put me in contact with the president, and
Right.
we actually had a meeting which sort of aligned with the request from Councillor Jackson to improve communications with the industry and things like that. I did bring up this potential, and they raised concerns with having that route removed from the truck route.
Right.
It is on the City of Hamilton's designated route for oversized loads.
Mhm.
So there are a number of implications involved if we were to actually remove it, and I tried to highlight that in the memo, not only for the industry, but also for the adjacent roadways that
Sure.
may be taking on more traffic. So in terms of whether it's a high priority, I know the councillor has been raising the issue for a number of times and was interested in moving it along.
To get it removed?
Yes.
Okay.
However, as I outlined in the report, it's probably best that the location and the consideration be actually included as part of the overall review of the truck master plan that we're going to do next year.
So in a nutshell, you're just saying that we've investigated this, you're not really leaning towards removing anything, but you want to put it into the master track for the review. Then I'm prepared to helpfully to make that happen, and I think that's fair.
Okay, Council Pearson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I agree with Councillor Johnson as well. And I see through here reading the report that it's just basically allowing you to go ahead and do all the background and investigative numbers. And I too agree that the ward councillors, fighting both sides, should be involved in, confidently going forward knowing they're comfortable with it. So I have no problem with seconding that as well.
Okay, that's gonna be moved by
Yeah.
Councilor Brenda Johnson, seconded by Councilor Maria Pearson. All in favor?
Carried.
Carries. Thank you on that one. On to 9.1, traffic bylaw 1-215 amendment respecting farm truck exemptions. Discussion.
Yes, please.
Councilor Brenda Johnson.
Thank you. As far as I know, and as long as I've been looking into this, the former municipalities that have had heavy agriculture in their wards have always exempted the farm trucks from the truck route. Having said that, I don't believe now, after all this investigation, it was ever written anywhere. So this is no mistake to the staff, this was no mistake to the police, this is no mistake to the farmers. But what we've done in the 5 years that I've been here, we've had a number of community meetings, and the crime managers have been present, the staff have been present, and we've been reassuring the staff, or the public, that farm trucks are exempted from our truck route, because they have to get from farm to farm, and the makeup of farming now has changed since it was back in the day when somebody had an old tractor. So now you've got corporate farmers, and they're going from truck to truck, from farm to farm. So in the past, when a farmer has been pulled over and ticketed, we just contact the crime manager and it all gets sorted out before it gets to court. Well, the last time this happened to Jamie Bethune, it was an absolute perfect storm. Called the crime manager tried to get a hold of the officer, and the officer was on vacation, so the ticket couldn't be rescinded. So the farmer went to a pre-hearing, and in the meantime was asking for it, give me the written word that you keep reassuring the public this is what it is. And through investigation, we found out that it was never written. It was just an understanding. So I went to the pre-hearing with the farmer, and I said, this is on no fault of the police officer, no fault of the farmer, it's on fault of us, because we were always shouting it out to them that they were exempted, and we had nothing to back that up. So the bylaw that's in front of you today, and I believe that Councillor Jackson's concerns about this is he doesn't want them all through the urban areas. So anything in upper in Hamilton, since there is virtually no farming done in the urban areas, corporate farming done in the urban areas, I don't have a problem with that. We do need to recognize that there is Carlisle, there's other urban areas like Woodburn Binbrook and Mount Hope, where these farmers abut onto these lands. So I don't know how we can reflect that in the bylaw to suggest that it just be in the rural areas. So therefore, the police officer has a clear indication of what's allowed and what's not allowed. The farmers are reassured that they can go from farm to farm without any obstructions. And we won't run into this problem again. I'm just gonna leave that at that. I would really like to see, I see that it says about the rural areas, so my question to Dave is, lack of truck routes in the rural areas, that section bylaw be amended to read, shall not apply to vehicles registered under the farm license plate. So my question to you is, does this distinguish urban from rural? Please note that the police officers don't understand rural, and seriously, I mean, unless you're a planner, we all don't understand where that line falls. So I really would like to get this a little more specific to give Councillor Jackson and Councillor Whitehead some comfort level that we're not gonna have these big transport trucks coming through their towns. So how do we correct that?
Through the chair, yeah, so the way it's currently written, it's citywide, it doesn't define an area.
Can we just put on section A where it says and, take out before and within the rural areas? Can we just do that? I know, you're gonna say, what's a rural area?
Yeah.
Will?
Can we not put it in the
Sorry,
truck?
through the chair here, yeah, it would be the difficulty for any police officer trying to enforce that would be
Right.
what's the definition of a rural area? What roads are rural areas? And the more caveats you put into this, the more difficult it becomes for an officer
Okay.
on the street to enforce it. If the way it's written, it's very straightforward. Farm trucks are exempt.
Okay,
And that's simple for an officer to enforce.
great.
However, it does, as you say, allow a truck bearing a farm license plate to drive on any road in the city, and there's nothing the police can do about it in terms of the heavy truck
Okay.
bylaw. However, my concern would be
Be
the
clear.
officers out there, as soon as you say rural, urban, and then you start to put a whole bunch of road parameters around it, it becomes very, very confusing.
Okay. So through your chair to the officer, we have a truck route that all the officers have possession of. If we were to take a paintbrush and paint the rural area, would that be helpful?
It would be, yes. However, would it completely eliminate the issue?
Yes,
No, no.
Well-
Because it does become, it does become confusing for the officer out there on the street that, you know, this truck is off the truck route. You have to remember, the officers have to be familiar with not only this truck route bylaw, but a whole cornucopia of bylaws, statutes, and other things. So they're not gonna necessarily have this present and foremost in their mind as exactly what it is, right? So might an officer mistakenly give a person a citation for something? Now, as long as the bylaw backs up the driver's position, that, you know, they're lawfully allowed to be off of this truck route,
okay.
there's not gonna be an issue.
So, we have a truck route map. We have a truck route map. The officer has a truck route. He sees that there's a green line, that means that all trucks, so he stays away from there for reinforcement, but he goes to the other ones that don't have that green line, correct? So what if, like I said, we colorize everything, so when they see that road in that colored area, they know that the farm trucks are, can we do that? And it's right on the index. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? You see the truck route, who's got a copy? Do you have a copy of the truck route?
I'm wondering,
Have
here,
all that?
just a
Okay.
suggestion from my friend beside me here, could you define it by wards? Say, in this ward,
Yes and no, but again, you
some
have
of
to
the wards
remember
have
that
rural and
my
urban
ward
areas.
is butts on to Rymel Road. So,
Mine's urban and rural.
yeah, exactly, and I've got 5 areas. So if we were, so here's the truck route they have in their hot little hands. If we were to take a color and did this with it, solid color going all the way through so you can see where the truck routes are, would that not be helpful? Because they're using this as an enforcement. They know that if somebody's on this road per se, they know that they got them. If they're on this road, they're okay. So if we could not, we're using color coding already when we highlight the truck route. Can we not color code the urban or rural area? Or color code the urban, whatever's easier, and say if they're in the pink area, green trucks or farm trucks are exempt. Could we do that? And then at the bottom on your legend, the pink is farm trips are exempt. Could we not just add that caveat to make it easier so it's visual?
This is the simplest. The more caveats you add, the more complicated it gets. What you're suggesting is not that complex. All I'm saying is, as a caution, the more caveats we add, the more complex it gets for the officer if they're trying to enforce it, right? So, that's a fairly simple solution, I
Well,
would
that's-
agree. It's the simplest solution, and the simplest solution is probably going to be
And so-
the best in terms of enforcement.
Therefore, we would add a B and then and take B and to C and put B as highlighted on the truck route map. Could it be that simple?
Through the chair, yes, I think you could add a section in there that said, maybe it's, the wording is along the lines of the rural boundaries as defined by the city of Hamilton
Secondary plan.
secondary plan.
Official plan.
Well,
Or official plan.
the urban boundaries, if you just put the urban boundaries on here, which is part of our official plan,
Correct.
then the urban boundary will clearly show up here.
Yeah.
And Carlisle
Vice
is in a,
versa.
yeah, Carlisle is in a rural settlement area. The only urban area I have is Waterdown. Everything outside of that is clearly rural. And it's the same with the rest of the city. There's definite boundaries of our urban areas.
Okay, so how's this? I know we're having a discussion, sorry Chair, but we just figured, you know. how about this? So B would then become as defined, rural boundaries as defined by the Hamilton, City of Hamilton official plan and highlighted on the truck route map. Would that be clear?
Yeah, because you could do it right on this map, just put the urban areas on it.
Yeah.
The boundary is set with our official
I'm
plan.
gonna need a motion, I mean.
So I just,
Sorry.
Okay, so, Judy, are you still on the
Yeah,
board here?
so-
And then I'll get to Maria.
Yeah, sorry, I just needed to jump in because the urban, I think identifying the urban area, you know, you're the folks that are gonna have to implement it. So I really wanna make sure that whatever we do is easy for you, but also for our farmers. Because when they do get ticketed, you know, like I say, in my ward is 70% rural. The only urban area is Waterdown, and it's clearly defined on the map. So, you know, and as well for the rest of the city. So I just wanna make sure that it's easy to implement the bylaw and, you know, have the truck route map that has the urban boundaries on it. Might be the easiest. So, that's my comments.
Maria?
only because I'm gonna be the devil's advocate, because I wanna be sure that we wrestle this completely
Yeah,
and thoroughly. So, my concern now is, we've got all these green lines that are all full-time truck routes. Well, there's all kinds of roads in between here that are not truck routes. So once we say it's all this area, these green lines can actually go.
No,
Because the only people who would be exempt
I'll be the farmers,
The farmers.
that's the only
any
thing.
other,
Okay.
any other
Because there's
trucker
also
would have
the-
to stick to that route.
Okay, there's also the truck route specified users in here,
that's
Whitchurch,
gonna be eliminated.
right? Okay, I just wanna be sure, we've made sure that we're covering off, that we're not opening up, it's only farmers,
That's right.
registered, plates,
That's right.
got it, okay?
And that's, I think, through you, Chair, B is to eliminate the special exemption rule, is it not? B is to, or we were gonna keep that
To
separate.
remove that.
So that yellow that you're
The-
seeing,
the
just to
white
clear, yeah.
Yeah.
This was done when Glenbrook took this piece right here out of the truck route. There were a lot of companies in Bimbrook that were screaming and hollering, so they created this exemption rule. We went through the exemption rule, and there's only 2 viable places still open. So unless they're on delivery, they shouldn't be there anyways. And then if it's farm truck, then they're okay. So that's gonna be eliminated completely. We're only gonna have a north-south, and these 2 roads here are truck routes on the other municipality side by default. They always have, okay? So just to be clear, that's what your B is for, so that's why I wanted to explain this before I move this.
Devil's advocate thing on it, we'll make sure.
So,
So,
just to be clear, Chair, A is going to read in its entirety, and where it says under section 628, within the rule boundary. Rule boundaries as defined by the official plan and highlighted on the truck route map. Clear? Pick a nice color, purple's nice.
We gotta be able to see it.
Yeah. Light purple. So this, and just in closing, this is gonna help us tremendously when we go back to the courts and explain that this was on the city, this was not on the police officer, it's not on the farmer. Now we've clearly identified what's going on. So how soon do you think we can get that color put in that map?
It's just a case of, I guess once it's approved by council, just getting our GIS group to update the map for us and pop it on. It
And
will
if-
be pretty quick.
And if you're comfortable, come to me and I'll show you where the urban boundary, well, you have it right on the official plan where the urban
Yes,
boundary
yeah,
starts and
we'll
stops.
just ask them to add
Yeah,
that
yeah.
as per
Perfect.
the official plan and we'll.
And send it around to us before it's, so we're clear on that.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
thank you very much, everyone. So that's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Partridge.
I'm gonna pass the chair to you. So a couple questions. First of all, anybody on delivery with farm plates, because I have residents, farmers who have a wood business and they come into town, so they're fine on that coming, right?
As long as they have a farm plate, they would be able to go down any road as defined in that rural boundary. They would be able to drive on any, they would be completely exempt from being on the truck routes whatsoever.
Thank you. So, and Madam Chair, Brenda and I had discussion, I guess, last week about trucks and farmers and carriers. I don't have tractor trailers or trains myself, but I get carriers that come in. Some don't have farm plates on them, but that's all they do all the time is haul farm produce. They wouldn't be exempt through this because they don't have a farm plate.
Correct. They would have to come in on the truck route and take the shortest route from the truck route to their destination, and then the shortest route back onto the truck route, and then on the truck route to there, if they don't have a farm plate.
Okay. No, all right, I guess that's okay. Because I do know there's guys with just plates, right? It's a lot better than what it was.
Well, he wasn't able to do it before, right?
Yeah.
So why can't he put something
That's
on his
right.
truck to identify him?
That's right.
He's doing that for a living and he's making all that money, or not all that money, I shouldn't say that. He's making his living on hauling produce, why is he not farm plated or has something identifying farm on him? To me, it's worth his weight in gold if he can do that.
It would, if I may, it would only be, and the ministry has certain parameters around who can receive a farm plate.
Yep.
And I'm not, I
You're
can
right.
quote them all to you, but it would be only for somebody who has that farm license plate. They can have farm written all over their truck, all over the place. Unless that license plate says farm, they're not exempt.
Yeah.
I understand, so.
Want to
Okay.
go back?
I'll take it back, chair back. So on the motion then,
It's been seconded.
moved by Councilor Brenda Johnson, seconded by Councilor Judy Partridge. All in favor?
Carried.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you for your work on this, Brenda. Much appreciated, staff.
Oh, court was fun. You guys must have had the last. Guess that corner.
Okay, moving on to notices of motion.
I have one, and it was just handed to me, but it makes perfect sense.
You wanna wait for it?
I would like to waive the rules to include this in as a regular motion, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Partridge.
All in favor?
Carried.
Thank you. So moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Partridge, whereas the Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway extension is expected to be completed in September, and whereas it's required to make an amendment to Schedule 27 to permit heavy trucks to access this roadway, therefore let it be resolved that traffic bylaw 01215 Schedule 27 be amended to add the Upper Red Hill Valley Parkway between Stone Church and Rymel Road.
Councilor Partridge?
Just through you to Madam Clerk, should we add in there September 2016, or does it matter?
It doesn't.
I'm assuming it's this September.
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
that's just for posterity.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I've got it written here. That's easier.
Any questions, comments on that?
And there's my amended motion.
Okay. Moved by yourself, seconded by Councilor Judy Partridge. All in favor?
Carried.
Carried.
Any opposed? It carries. Thank you. General information, other business. We have amendments to the outstanding business list.
Oh.
Yep, okay, any discussion? Just, okay, mover, so it's moved by Councilor Maria Pearson, and seconder, Councilor Brenda Johnson, all in favor?
Carried.
Carried, okay. We have a motion outstanding from, I have to remove B from the outstanding business list, the Westover truck route. Any discussion? If I may pass the chair for a second. So, Joanne, Jason, Dave, somebody, just some comments on, through Madam Chair,
I'll chair this, go ahead.
with the truck route. I noticed there's no more damage to the guardrails there in the corner of Westover and Safari. And being, what has taken place that's stopped all that?
Through the chair, so one of the things when we were having the issue, we discussed with our corridor management group what the concerns were with the vehicles using the roadway and the impacts it was having on the infrastructure and the turns and everything else. So they've, when they're issuing their permits for these types of loads, they're not directing them down that roadway anymore. So that's addressed that issue, and so that's why you're noticing you're not having any damage occurring to the guardrails.
Okay, yes, thank you. No, Madam Chair, it was like they fixed them and then 2 weeks later it was taken back out again. Somebody got hung up because you just can't turn there. So thank you for that. It's much appreciated and keeps the residents happy. So I'll take the chair back, if I may. So, okay, may I have a motion, the second, to remove G from the outstanding business list? Councillor Pearson, Councillor Partridge, all in favor? Carried. Any other general information, other business
All in
on the
favor?
table? All in favor? All in favor?
Outstanding business list is done?
Yes,
Carried?
Maria Pearson, second by.
You have 4
Councillor
chairs.
Motion to
I
adjourn.
know, it's okay, it's okay. It's kind of, it's
We
kind
got
of,
your back.
Does it feel like home, Robert?
Robert, adjourn.
yeah.
We got your back, Rob, don't worry, we got your back.
May I have a motion to adjourn then?
boy.
Councillor Pearson.
30 minutes, all
Councillor
right.
Johnson, thank you.
Thank you, everybody,
everyone.
especially for your help on
Thank
that
you.
truck route. Really
Appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
That's
Expecting
good.
this is a nice one.
Brenda, have you got a sec?
Sure.
Did you get my message, hon?